This is a video presentation that's part of a series of videos for Introduction to Learning Hypertext Markup Language, HTML, and Cascading Style Sheets, CSS, by Professor John O'Neill from the University of Minnesota, Duluth. I'm Jolene Hippa-Martin. I'm an associate professor in Communication Sciences and Disorders, and I'm one of Professor O'Neill's colleagues. I'm just providing voiceover services for this video. The topic of this video is WAI ARIA and accessibility trees. We have two goals for this presentation. First, what are WAI ARIAs? And second, what is an accessibility tree? WAI ARIAs and accessibility trees are two ways to make web pages accessible for people who use screen readers and other assistive technology. So in order to further understand how you can design websites that are accessible and most suitable for a screen reader user, you have to learn a little bit about ARIAs and accessibility trees. The topic is very detailed and has a lot of specifics, which you don't really need to know all of the different details, but you definitely need to know the basic concepts. So first, what is WAI ARIA? Well, there are two parts to WAI ARIA. One, the WAI, which stands for Web Accessibility Initiative, was developed in 1996 by the World Wide Web Consortium, or W3C. That's an international community that develops the standards for the web. The second part is ARIA, which stands for Accessible Rich Internet Applications. It is a result of the WAI, which adds more semantics to HTML elements. WAI ARIAs do not have to be used when developing websites. However, they do increase their accessibility. Why are WAI ARIAs important for accessibility? WAI ARIAs are code made for screen readers. So first, WAI ARIAs give more context than what basic HTML semantics can provide. And second, they can describe the purpose, function, and action of HTML elements, thus helping screen readers to better identify the elements and content on web pages. So they go beyond what the basic description is for HTML elements. They actually provide more context. They give the information about what the element does and what its purpose may be and how to interact with it. Is it a button, for example, that needs to be pressed, or is it a text field that needs to be written in? Those are some basic examples of what ARIAs can do. The code on the left is an example of HTML button tags with ARIAs. The area on the right in black is a description of what is happening in the code. It is not the output. These are buttons to check because they have a role of checkbox. So as you can see where it says button at the top, the value is false when the ARIA has not been checked. With the description on the right, it shows that there are two buttons for users to decide what they want to check, lettuce or tomato. The ARIA for the tomato button equals true, indicating that it is the one that the user has checked. And you can see in the code, it is true. And this indicates to a screen reader that the button is checked. So now let's talk about accessibility trees. Accessibility trees are a vital element of designing websites that are user-friendly for screen readers. First, each web page has an accessibility tree. Second, they serve as an outline of the content of the pages. And third, like ARIAs, they help screen readers to identify elements and read the content on the page. Bad accessibilities will not stop websites from functioning, but they will cause accessibility barriers. So when a screen reader reads the website content, it might not be perfect because it will have bad accessibility trees, or it might have no ARIAs. The HTML semantics might be wrong or not used the way that would be best suited for accessibility, but it won't stop the website from working. Again, it'll cause accessibility barriers, and oftentimes the websites that cause the most barriers have bad accessibility trees, or they don't even have any ARIAs. Using HTML semantics effectively matters because it will create the best accessibility tree possible. Users of screen readers and other assistive technologies will receive web page content in a clear and accurate manner. It determines the order in which a screen reader will read the content on the page. And so the order of things is also important because a screen reader does not rely on visual elements to know where to read. As far as a screen reader is concerned, there are no graphics. There is no way to see the interface. All it does is read the content that's there. So I want to provide a good example of what an accessibility tree may look like. So this is a screen grab of the whole page for GSA, U.S. General Services Administration. The U.S. federal government has its own guidelines for accessibility and for UX design, user experience design. And so they follow accessibility principles and best practices quite well. So that is why I want to show you an example from the U.S. federal government. So this is, as I mentioned before, a website for the government. So if you go to the back end, that is, of the website to where you can see all the code and what have you, you will be able to see the code. You will be able to see the accessibility tree right there. You can see all the different parts of the website and how it's organized. It looks like an outline that you might write for an essay you need to write, or an outline of notes and stuff like that. The accessibility tree is that principle of just trying to write out an outline, more or less, of the website that'll break down the content into simple, basic pieces of information. And that's an overview of WAI ARIA and accessibility tree.